Hello, I'm just converting my, ouch, potential energy into kinetic energy, which is what we're doing today. Except we're going to be focusing more on numbers, so actually getting some calculations here. So, a quick note for those of you that don't know this about Minecraft is that each block is 1 meter by 1 meter by 1 meter. They are 1 meter cubes, which makes it easier to measure things. So, for example, if I'm 1 block off the ground, it's the same thing in the Minecraft world as being 1 meter off the ground in this world, which is really handy, as I said before. So, I have a pillar here to measure different heights, and let's raise it up a little bit, and we can see this ledge right here is at the 13-meter mark. So standing on top of it, I am 13 meters above the ground. Now, I can actually use our equations for potential energy to solve for how much energy I have right now. And we're going to do that right now. So let's use the equation. My potential energy equals mass times gravity times height. Now, some things you might see, you might have seen weight times height, or just weight equals mass times gravity, but as you can see there, it's the same thing. So I've kind of made up some numbers here. These aren't specifically canon to the Minecraft world, but we're just going to roll with it. So let's say our gravity is the same as Earth, 9.8 newtons per kilogram. Let's say that my mass here is the mass of an average person, roughly 100 kilograms. We're just going to do some rounding, and my height is 13 meters off the ground. So I can calculate my energy, my potential energy, by just using this formula, mass times gravity times height. So I got 9.8 times my mass, 100 kilograms times my height, 13 meters, and that goes to 12,740 joules. Now notice at the top, I'm just standing here, I'm not moving, so my kinetic energy is 0. So my velocity is 0, and therefore my kinetic energy is 0, which is really kind of cool. And when I look at my total energy, which is just my potential plus my kinetic, it's just 12,740 plus 0, so that's all there is. Now, let's look at some things here. I have 12,000 now, 12,740. Now let's convert that into kinetic by one way only, and jumping off cliffs or walking off fearlessly. Bam, look at that, sticks the landing. So now I just converted all that potential energy into kinetic. And right before I hit the ground, right before I stopped moving, um, what was my kinetic energy? Let's look into that. So my kinetic energy, we know from this equation, equals 1 half mv squared. I have to apologize for the little caret symbol your calculator will use, because I can't really do much else in this. But it's just mass times your velocity again. Now, my mass we knew was 100 kilograms, and this is that equation I told you before. Your total energy is the same thing as your potential energy plus your kinetic energy. So at the bottom, my height is 0, right? I can't stand actually any lower than this because I'm already on the lowest rank, the 0 block. So since my height is 0 and my potential energy requires height in my equation, it's just going to be some numbers times 0, which is of course 0, which is why I have no potential at the ground level, because it's 0. Now, I do know that all of this had to be converted into kinetic, because my energy is conserved, and if this is 0 right here, then all the 12,740 must have gone into the kinetic. Now I can do that, and so I can calculate how fast I was going just before I hit the ground. In this case, it says I was going a little bit less. I rounded up to 16 meters per second at the bottom. So that's the fastest that I was going, or at the bottom right here before I landed. And we can do all kinds of interesting things with energy. For example, I could figure out how fast I was going at 4 meters or at 7 meters just by changing the height and looking at something like that. So that is a quick example of what we do and how we do it. So thank you, and remember, kids, do schooly things and be good. Bye.